Do you ever feel like life feels harder than it needs to be? Like everything requires a bit too much effort, even the small things. I've been thinking about that lately. How much of my stress actually comes from the world, and how much comes from the way I meet it. Living up here in the north has taught me something important. You can't rush the thaw. You can't make spring come faster. You can only soften into it. The first habit that's made my life a little bit softer is acceptance. Not the fluffy spiritual kind, but the brutally practical kind. I used to fight everything. The weather, like the wind, was pissing me off. My burnout. How mad I got that I didn't have any energy. I told myself it's just a phase. Until one morning my body said, you know what? No, it's not. And I just couldn't move. Acceptance isn't the same thing as giving up. It means to stop having a constant argument with reality so that you can finally use that energy to adapt. Because honestly, the snow doesn't care if you think that it should be spring already. You might as well just grab that shovel and make peace with it. Another thing that makes life harder is rigidity. We all do it. We dig our heels in when something we believed for years suddenly isn't true anymore. It's uncomfortable to change your mind. It can feel like losing a piece of yourself, of your identity. It's like refusing to wear gloves in October, even though it's cold. Because you're just not ready to admit that summer is over. But rigidity costs us flow. It keeps us locked inside versions of ourselves that no longer fits and no longer takes us where we need to go. A softer life means being willing to shift, to change your mind about how things should be and who you thought you were supposed to become. Sometimes softness is just putting the gloves on. It's okay to grieve. And this one can be a bit tricky, because grief doesn't only show up when someone dies. It appears whenever something ends, even something small. Like a dream that quietly slipped away, a version of yourself that no longer feels like you. A job that once made you excited to wake up and get out of bed. But then it doesn't anymore. For a long time I told myself just to be grateful, to stop being sad about things that weren't actually that bad. And yeah, gratitude matters, but so does honesty. You can be grateful and heartbroken, strong and tired, moving on and still missing what was. When you allow those things to exist at the same time, you can stop pretending that softness means positivity. It's really about being honest about what's the truth. And amidst all the hardship we go through in life, we need to remember the power of awe. One of the simplest ways to soften life is to let yourself feel awe. It sounds cliché, I know, but awe resets your whole nervous system. And for me, it's standing outside in the cold, watching the northern lights sweep across the sky. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen them. They still make me stop mid-sentence, breathe, and remember that I'm small, but I belong. You don't need to be standing under the auroras to do that. You can find it in just beautiful patterns of frost on your window, or steam rising from your tea, or the way sunlight filters through fog. That's awe too. The reminder that life keeps unfolding, even when you're not controlling it. And it's beautiful. There's a lot of talk about being present, and I agree that that is a very important note. But looking forward can also be a very important part of happiness. Did you know that we actually enjoy things in stages? From dreaming about them, to planning them, to actually doing them, and then remembering them and telling them to our friends. The trick is not to live only in the dreaming. Every November, when the world turns grey and muddy and the beautiful leaves of October have landed on the ground and started to turn into mulch, I catch myself longing for the crisp white snow, for that hush that settles over everything. But if I stay too focused on what's next, I miss what is this moment. The quiet, the slowness, the reason to light one more candle and just land in the slower pace that nature is inflicting on us. If you allow it, it feels really nurturing. Softer living isn't about escaping discomfort. It's about not missing the good that is already here, in this moment. Maybe the north has just rubbed off on me, but the longer I live here, the more I realize softness isn't something you find, it's something you practice every day. You can't always make life easier, but you can make it softer by meeting it with less resistance, a little more grace, and allowing yourself to be amazed.